Thank you, John. I think even though the title is already decided, I can see that as a really good title for a blog that would undoubtedly come out and address those issues. Let's turn now to Louise Fox.
Thanks, Karen, and it's nice to be back among some old friends and some new friends here. It's just great, and I'm really glad that Harold asked me to comment on this book, because maybe I might not have read it, I'm afraid to say, and I liked it. I learned a lot. I'm one of these economists that was brought up with the doctrine of cash. Cash is better. I'm not sure I, at this time of year, adopt the idea that you shouldn't give Christmas gifts, although some economist always writes about that too. But I certainly was brought up with the idea that cash is better. And I think that this book kind of changed my thinking, at least on the margin. At least on the margin. And so I guess I always thought about the political economy and what the political economy of food meant. But I think this also talks about a number of the issues in terms of markets and missing markets and the effect on beneficiaries that are quite important. Now, of course, we know, as my colleague from the World Food Program has just talked about, that if there's no supply response, giving cash actually is not helpful because it raises the price of whatever you're trying to get people to consume. And as someone who now is a taxpayer in San Francisco, I sure know about, on the housing crisis, I sure know about that story. Which is, every so often someone says, oh, just give housing vouchers, and that will just raise rents quite a bit more. Having said that, I now work for USAID, and USAID doesn't do cash, right? Because we don't do global welfare programs. That's what I was told. We don't do global welfare programs. And I could see how that might be a problem for the US Congress. But we've started something quite interesting, which I want to tell you a little bit about, because it might be a way to think about this issue. We started this program of testing cash as a benchmark for our programming. And the idea is that cash is a hurdle or a benchmark. If a program targeted at a household or individuals can't do better than cash, why are we spending all the money it takes to create, implement, monitor, report, evaluate, et cetera, a program? So we have this new cash benchmarking study going where we work with Give Directly. I don't know if anyone's ever met the founders of Give Directly, but they're messianic about cash. Let me just put it that way. And so they were happy to work with us on this because they assumed that cash would always win. And so what we do is we have an impact evaluation designed to see whether cash works better or not than the program. Now, I'm involved in one on youth employment, a youth employment program in Rwanda, our standard supply side workforce development kind of program. Now, I have a guess as to how that one's going to turn out. But the one in Rwanda on nutrition, I think the initial results are in, and cash did do better than the nutrition program. Well, what does that mean to us? Now, that doesn't mean that USAID is going to start giving out cash. It means USAID has to, our interpretation of it is we have to do a better job on our nutrition programming. We have to actually make a difference. And I think thinking about, in looking at these programs, cash as a benchmark, that might be an interesting way to think about it, especially in light of the results that you've highlighted, that these food vouchers, even though they're almost cash, they do encourage people to take in more calories. So they do at least have, which, I mean, I guess in some cases that might not be good, but for the most part, that's good. So they do actually have an impact on total household food consumption, and especially the value of household food consumption. And I really like the fact that they can be used for example, farmers markets in the US and a SNAP and a lot of other things. So they may have an impact on whether that household actually buys fresh food or not, or something like that. So in terms of USAID's work, we think that up to 40% of our programs could potentially be benchmarked with cash, and that against cash, and that we can learn something from it. So this may also be a way of discussing with government the political economy of what they're doing and how it might change. So I thought I'd just highlight that program to you in my comments. Thank you very much.